What's up, everybody? Welcome back to TFD with another banger video. You already know the deal. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss a single update. Now let's take it right back to Indy, because what just happened there? You'd never even know an All-Star game took place. The courts cleared, banners down, city reset, Circle City back to business as usual. But let me tell you something. There's trouble brewing in the WNBA, and it's got everything to do with the lack of real rest these players are getting. Yeah, the 3 non-All-Stars had the day off, but the rest? Right back in the gym at Salesforce Court, grinding it out for the second half of the season. And they jump right into a big one in New York against the Liberty on Tuesday. Now hold up, that's the issue. These players just spent the weekend doing media, sponsorships, All-Star appearances, and now no break? That's gotta be addressed in the next collective bargaining agreement, plain and simple. Sophie Cunningham even touched on it after practice. It's great that the players got to be part of the weekend, but man, they're running on fumes. Think about it. The Fever had players flying in from Vegas, LA, Phoenix, you name it. And now they're expected to flip the switch and be back at full speed? Come on, that's rough. And the league knows it. Now, speaking of the Fever, all eyes back on Caitlin Clark. That's the big storyline. She tweaked her right groin late in the first half of the season, sat out the game against New York, and honestly, she's probably sitting out again this Tuesday. Nothing official yet, but don't be surprised if she's listed as doubtful after Monday's practice. Coach Stephanie White spoke after today's session. Caitlin wasn't there. They told her to stay home, get some legit rest, and she'll be meeting with doctors this week. Once that happens, her team, the agency, Fever front office, and coaching staff will huddle up and figure out the next move. But here's the real concern. She's already had multiple soft tissue injuries just halfway through her rookie year. Left quad strain, groin, and more. That's a lot. We saw this from day one, literally. Third day of camp, she was already sidelined. And since then, it's been a battle. Today, the 8 Fever players who weren't All-Stars got back in the lab. Lexi, Sophie, Sydney Colson, Natasha Howard, you name it. The vibe was back to business. Get a sweat going, shake off the weekend, and get locked in. We also caught up again with Coach Steph and Sophie Cunningham post-practice, and you could feel it. They know what's at stake. The national TV lights are staying on this team, and everyone wants a piece of the Caitlin Clark effect. So stay locked in. We're just getting started. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. How should the WNBA handle this All-Star grind? Should Caitlin rest longer? And will the Fever have enough gas left in the tank for the second half of the season? I want to hear from y'all.
Yeah. First of all, just kind of what were your impressions of this weekend, and how many of your players were just involved in a variety of things?
Yeah, I thought it was great. Felt like our organization, our city, really did a first-class job. Everything from activations to signage to engagement. It was just all first class and just well done, well organized, and really showcased our city, showcased our organization. So I'm really incredibly proud of everybody who took part in putting it together, executing it. Our players were around and involved in a lot of different things. So it was nice that they were still in town and that they were involved, they were engaged. A lot of meaningful activations from a community standpoint, and also taking a break and having some fun.
How did you strike that line of the advantage if you're the home team? You guys can practice today, but also an All-Star break and that rest if you take it.
Yeah, we had 3 days at home, and so for us, we know that we've got to continue to work. We got to continue to stack days, and even though everybody was involved in a lot of different things, typically when you come back from having even a day off, let alone 3 days off, it's a little sluggish. So we wanted to work that out. As much as we could early, since we were at home, we wouldn't be traveling, and then spend tomorrow preparing for New York.
What you just said about the landslides, is that something that you've noticed in frequent games? So thematically, what causing them with that's a lack of focus, getting away from the game plan? How do you guys avoid that?
I think some of it is when we don't have practice time, and so there are a lot of different ways, and landslide may not have been the right word, but there are a lot of different ways. For some people it's visualization, for some people it's watching more film, whether it's of them, of executing. When we have the opportunity to practice, we want to be able to do that. I'm not sure what we ended up being like. Something like, I know it was 3 and 4 to end before the break, but what it was prior to that, a lot of games in a short period of time, so we don't always have time to get reps and natural slippage happens, but it can't be in a vast amount of the things that you do.
Obviously, none of the All-Stars practice today, but how is Caitlin progressing from that right? Great.
Yeah, well, I haven't seen since the game last night, but I think she's progressing. I think that we're continuing to address everything that needs to be addressed. She's gonna see some doctors and get some more tests run early in the week. I don't expect her to be available on Tuesday, so we're just gonna continue to take it one day at a time and let her get her evaluations early this week, and then once we've done that, hopefully we'll have more of a clear line of what it looks like.
It's maybe her story been representative kind of a season where you have a range of emotions. There's big wins, there's big losses, there's players going down, and you're still waiting to have a full practice with everybody involved.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's been a lot of adversity is a relative term, but it's been inconsistent. And players coming in and out, lineups in and out. Games struggles as well. But it's also, some of that's a factor of our schedule. Some of that's a factor of not practicing together. Some of that early, especially growing pains, just learning how to win in some of those tight games. So there are a lot of different factors. And for us, it's probably something we're going to continue to deal with. These soft tissue injuries sometimes snag until you can actually have time to really allow them to heal in off season. So we'll just take it one day at a time, and as they come, and we'll continue to, this group will continue to progress together.
Going back to everything that's happening, regrettably I missed Dave's performance last
Yeah.
night.
What?
What was the review? He did.
Sid did a great job. I was so proud of her getting up on that stage. It was a big venue. It was a large venue, and I don't know anything about comedy, but I know that when you play in environments that are large and sometimes seem like sterile, it's much more difficult than environments that are tight and loud. So I'm really proud of Sid. She did a great job. She always has us rolling, so it's nothing new for us, but I'm happy that she was able to do that.
Do you have a highlight of the weekend?
Being able to sleep in this morning was great. But on a real note, I just think it was awesome. I think Indiana showed out for All-Star. I said multiple times that we have the best fans. The love, the encouragement they show us on a weekly basis. Now other teams and other players really got to see what we see all the time. And so it was nothing but love. But I just want to shout out our fans and our community for throwing a heck of an All-Star.
Compare the hosting experience of the last 2 years.
Man, I'm back-to-back host too. Phoenix was crazy, a little bit more of a crazy nightlife out there in Scottsdale, but I think the bars in the downtown here, they did a wonderful job. So again, shout out to the community.
You like getting back to practice so quick, and advantage that you guys don't have to travel, or was it tough for coming back? It's one day after everything.
Are you gonna get me fined? No, I got you. No, you know what? On a real note, it's good to move our bodies. Everyone knows what All-Star Weekend's about. It's cool for all of us players to kind of get to hang out and chill outside the court. But we're out, we're hanging out and whatnot, and so it's nice to kind of sweat it out and get our legs moving again.
What is it like to do so many activations? It seemed like you were at everything, but what that also suggests is all the different partnerships, income streams, all those different things.
And I think that's why a lot of people stayed in market. That's why people come here, because of the amount of money that companies and endorsers and partners are wanting to pay us players. They see who we are off the court, they see who we are on the court, and I just think that speaks volumes of who we are as a W, the players wise. And so it's fun. Everyone always I like Olympic break, because you get All-Star and then you get to go chill for a little bit. But it's just part of being a pro. So
Yeah, players were talking about how they thought All-Star was a little bit too short going back to games on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Do you think it should be, and regular league years a little longer?
Yeah, I think that they need to find a way to give us a little bit more of a break. See AB and Caitlin, sorry. Kelsey, AB, and Caitlin, they didn't really ever get a break. They still had to go to practice, they had to do all that, and these are the top players in our league. That's what All-Stars are all about, right? So you kind of want to give them a break so you can get a good product out on the court. But for me, I think they can find a 2 extra days somewhere for us to just relax and sleep.
And Kathy talked about the 44 games and the amount of time this season has. I feel like it's too many. Do you think it needs to be extended in terms of the full length of time of the season? How does that go?
Yeah, you can just tell Kathy to pay us, and then we can have a discussion. So, yeah.
kind of just going into the second half of the season, Steph talked about that little margin of error you guys have.
Yeah.
What do you think needs to step up going into the second half?
Yeah, consistency, right? Attention to detail, making sure that defensively we are just beasts, a unit. We're not on islands. And I think it all starts on the defensive end and our intensity and our aggressiveness. And when we do that, we tend to win those ball games. And so for us, you can't have, you're always going to have a little bit of slippage every now and then, but you just can't have landslides. You just said that. And I really do think that the first half of the season, it wasn't good enough. And that's not an excuse anymore. So we all have to come in, be dialed in, take it a little bit more personal, make sure you're bringing what you can to the team, and make sure that our locker room stays like this.
So as we head into the second half of the season, the message is clear: no more excuses. This team knows the standard it's trying to reach, and now it's about execution, consistency, and bringing that defensive intensity every single night. The All-Star Weekend showed off just how strong this fan base is, how deep the player involvement runs, and how powerful the W community truly is on and off the court. Now it's time to channel all that energy into the rest of the season. The margin for error is small, but the opportunity is massive. Let's see who steps up. Get down. In comment section, tell us what you all thinking about this. Don't forget, like and subscribe for daily updates.